anyways. All right. Are we ready to get going? So should we begin our meeting? All right. So I'll call the meeting to order at 7:02. And why don't we stand and say the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'd like to start off by welcoming our new trustee, Erin Clement. Thank you for joining us, Erin. We're thrilled to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Maybe we should just go around again and introduce ourselves, since last time you came in it was really quick. So you can put names with faces. So I'm Deb Koval. I'm the chair.
I'm Janet Krupp. I'm the treasurer.
Yvette Kauser. I'm the director.
Jennifer Stover, head of technical services.
Ruth Swisher, alternate.
Robbie Reisman.
And Molly Mortimer, secretary.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you, everybody. We'll start off with our old business, just going through July's action items. The first one was that I was supposed to reach out to Erin, which obviously I did. The second was that Yvette was going to cancel the PO as described in the minutes. Jen's
Yes,
nodding. Yes, that was
done.
done.
It couldn't be closed because the fiscal year is still open from last year. So once that's done, we will close that. But we had to open another purchase order for the work to be done.
Great. Thank you. I will reach out to Deb Hoadley, which I did, and I guess you all saw the email from her. So, okay. That Janet and I would meet with Yvette to go over the salary schedule, which we did and which I sent to you and to be discussed in non-public. I would sign the evaluations, which I did. Ruth Marie was going to send Yvette finished goals document to trustees. I'm sorry, Yvette's finished goals document to trustees and Yvette, and Ruth Marie and Yvette to send job description feedback to Molly.
Did the job description feedback, but I still need to add the comments. Oh,
The comments on the objectives are not completed, but the comments on the job description are.
Great, thank you. And I would search for the trustee orientation checklist, which I'm sorry I have not done. I will add that to my list for coming up. So, okay. Was there anything that else that was on there that did make it to the minutes that anybody can think of? Okay, great. SMP, just for Erin to know, this is an architectural firm that we had been working with on different possible site options for a future library, and we're just sort of in limbo with them right now, but we keep it on the agenda so it doesn't just fall off.
Yep.
Yes. The strategic plan, Deb Hoadley is the consultant. She has had some stuff come up in her personal life and is not going to be able to get to things quite as quickly as we had hoped. We're really deep into the process, so I think we're just kind of going along, and she's done a lot of the legwork. We have things in motion, so I guess we're just waiting till that kind of gets done. So I don't know that there's much more to say other than that. So the building maintenance project list and the CIP. So Yvette, do you want to speak? Well, I guess we'll look at the building and maintenance list first. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Yvette on that?
I do.
Okay.
My notes. I thought on a previous version there was a date when it was added. So there's no date of when it was
Nope.
added. So
Do you want me to add that back?
I do,
Okay.
because it's nice to see how long it's been on the list. And then I think I read it in your director's report that there's a priority. And is this set up by priority, or is it just a list?
I think it's just a list. I'd have to look back at the director's report to see where we said priority, because we shared this month. So I'm not sure if it's my words or her words. So,
Well, having said that, having a priority would be nice
Sure.
too, since this seems to be growing. And then I guess my other comment is, are some of these like a wish or
No.
have-tos?
No, I don't think it's, no. I think these are things that we are investigating.
Okay,
You know, so maybe priority, that might help with priority.
yeah,
You know, that like the lighting and shelving on the top would be, we are investigating.
Okay.
And that could be the status of it. Yeah, I mean, we can prioritize however you want. I think we have been prioritizing projects and then finishing them, you know, because it was like, work on the elevator, work on
right.
some of these things that are connected to older POs, and we've been addressing that. So, you know, sure, we can add that
Okay.
to the next version of this for next month.
When I read it,
Mhm.
I took it more as a, we're doing this, as opposed to we're investigating it.
No, these are just things that have been identified, you know, like when joint loss comes through, or there's a problem, and I don't even know if, like, for example, the bathroom sink in the bathroom that was the men's
Right.
room, I don't know if that ever made it to this list, or we just.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
it
saw
is.
it
It's
in
right
there.
on the
Yep.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, that kind of thing is gonna be, you know, almost like in and out.
Right.
But, so it's whatever maintenance projects are happening in the building,
Okay.
we'll include this so you know what's happening in the building.
Got it. Okay.
I think it's also just a nice to have this, right? So things don't fall to the wayside,
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Is there a reason like why some things are colored and some things are not?
that's so I can see it.
Spectacular. I just didn't know if some things were colored for a reason and some things
The
are.
meat,
Okay.
all
That's
meat,
fine.
because I
I
can't,
just didn't wanna like
No.
assume there was a reason for, and yeah.
no, although I can recolor it any way you want. When we prioritize, probably we can go with different colors, because we've done that with the year-end expenditures. So yeah, just to kind of walk through some of this stuff that is, you know, to give you the new status. For the leak in the flat roof near the doghouse, which is the third item on here, Garland is going to send me a proposal. I didn't see it in the email for the week I was gone, you know, but the last time I spoke to Nick from Garland, he's gonna give us a proposal for maintenance of the flat roof. So we'll be on some kind of schedule for them to maintain it, and rather than, oh wow, it's leaking,
Mhm.
you know, under the dog houses, but they'll really be able to write up something for us. So, that's a great development, and that could become a CIP item now. I think, you know, to go back to the first two items, trying to address the dark corners under, you know, around the nonfiction on the adult and the fiction up on the main floor, you know, that could be a CIP item, because we have some quotes for that, and then just, you know, earmark the money for when we're ready to do it, or if we decide to not do this. The out-of-service tank, you know, that should go on the CIP, because it's been on the project list for a while, and
For a
I could go
while.
back to find the dates in a previous one to see when it went on here, but it was something that Joint Loss tagged from us. And just for those of you who don't know, or anyone who's listening, you know, the town has a Joint Loss committee that's made up of different members of each department. The library participates in this, and once a month they walk through different town buildings to kind of point out, you know, oh, those electrical cords shouldn't be that way, or, you know, this light is out over the exit sign, or the ceiling tiles are stained, or something like that. And for us, they'll tag certain things that they want us to address. So that was in the mechanical room. There is an old tank that's kind of in the ceiling. It's half in, half out. It's like embedded in the ceiling, and it's not used anymore. So they said, well, that should be removed. So then we have to figure out, okay, it's gotta go on the list so we don't lose it, and figure out who's the right vendor to remove this thing, and how we're gonna pay for it. So that's kind of a little process of how things come on the list. The metal doors and frames around the elevator was scheduled today. It's gonna be scheduled for the 4th of September. It should take about 4 hours for them to start. I would like them to come at 7 o'clock. They can come in a window between 7 and 8:30. I didn't get a confirmation for the start time, but that was scheduled today. Replace the chiller, the RFP, you received a draft
Mhm.
of that in
Yep.
your packets. So that's kind of in process. That was a CIP item, which I don't know if any of it needs to remain on the CIP, which we can talk about. Scrape and paint the ceiling in teen, that's finished. It looks fantastic. We are checking. Kathy was gonna wait to see about if it has stopped leaking, that area of the ceiling. We had a good rain last night. There was nothing. She's not putting books back yet on the top shelf.
Mhm.
She's just a little concerned, wants to really check it. Retro commissioning, there's a couple of items that are, coming out of the retro commissioning report.
Can I just say to Erin,
Yeah.
I don't know if you may have known that term before, but it was kind of new to us. We had someone come in and look at the HVAC system, an engineering firm, and then they recommended that we have a retro commissioner come in who went through and tested the air conditioning and the heating system, and then was able to make recommendations about things we could do. For instance, changing out valves that would actually take care of a lot of problems rather than saying, let's just replace the whole thing at once. So it's giving us more of an idea of what needs to be done, and so we can kind of pace ourselves as we move through the replacement project. So, sorry to interrupt. I just
No,
wanted
that's
to
quite all right.
clarify.
I was gonna ask you if you could speak to those two things, because I know you and Jared worked on some pieces of that.
Yeah, so the actuators have been purchased and actually they were shipped and delivered, I believe, Friday. So I think he's gonna go through, I don't know if he has a list of the ones that are actually not working, but I think that was what the plan was, to find the ones
Yep.
that weren't working and change
Yep.
those. And then the mechanical ventilation, he's been in touch with
Iris Wyatt.
Iris Wyatt, thank you.
Yeah.
And she's going to write up a proposal, which then I believe you will all discuss and vote on.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Sidewalk replacement, that's been on the CIP, so whenever the town redoes the sidewalks in front of town buildings, we want to be part of that, so
No.
that the,
I
Yeah.
sidewalk engineer. This is where probably 90% of my questions are when I looked at it. Is that something that, you're planning on, like, when they do the Wire Road, or would you wait till they did this intersection by, cause I know the Wire Road project that's coming, that intersection doesn't extend, all the way to the library. It kinda stops right where the parking lot starts, kind of
Right.
thing.
right,
My concern with us paying for sidewalk is the town, when they do sidewalk projects and when they do like that Wire Road intersection, they're doing all of that with an 80-20 government grant. I wanna make sure when we contribute to that,
we're not contributing to it. We wanna make sure they remember our sidewalk when
that's
they go in with
perfect.
the
I
big
just don't
project.
think that library funds
No.
should be paying
No.
for a sidewalk in the
Nope.
town right away.
Yep, that's
No,
not our
that's my-
intention.
But
Yeah.
we started putting this on the CIP so that they would remember our sidewalk when they go with the big,
Projects,
you
right,
know, townwide sidewalk project and not
right. Cause I know there's
omit our corner.
another sidewalk project coming down the pike that they got moved up to, I think, 2027, which goes from the fire station towards Altitude as much as they can do, filling in pieces, but I know sidewalks are very expensive. And I just, if you're gonna do an intersection, that's when you do the sidewalk. I wouldn't want us to touch sidewalks without them touching that whole intersection, cause it doesn't make a lot of sense.
We
And
just want them to remember our
Right.
sidewalk.
that's perfect. That makes me feel a lot
We're
better,
not paying
cause
for
I
the
was
sidewalk. We're gonna-
spectacular.
We're
That,
gonna go in with everyone else.
that's
So,
awesome.
it's on there.
I
That
like
one's gonna
that it's
stay.
a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It
that's
is a
really cool
placeholder.
to just be
It is a
like,
placeholder.
um, but yeah, I'd rather the new building than sidewalks, but that's just me. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
where
mean-
that stands. You know, we
Yeah.
are gonna be behind the public safety complex and hopefully, but yes.
Right.
But yeah, that was my only concern about sidewalks, that we were gonna be paying out of pocket for sidewalks when,
No.
it's kind of a DPW
No.
thing.
I think we've tried, and you guys can correct me, trustees who've been here for longer than you guys. That's why I'm looking this way. You know, I think we want to identify for the town in the CIP project, you know, working off of this sheet, transfer it to the CIP so that the town understands the kind of issues we're dealing with.
Right.
You know, and that we'll need funding that's over $5,000, $10,000 for it. You know, so I think, you know, when I became the director 12 years ago, it was new building. That was the only CIP item we had. And we didn't have all of these other things and other things that we've already addressed and has been paid for and repaired. None of it was on the CIP. We weren't really sharing our concerns with the town. And I think now it is. It's really helpful to have it included, you know, and they can kind of look at the big, you know, scope of things and see where our projects might fit in, you know, so it's better, in my opinion.
And it also opens up the opportunity for cooperation. Like we had a new phone system on there. They saw it and said,
Right.
why would you do that? We have people we can help
Right.
you do it. So that, you know, just for them to know, because we are part of the town, and
Right.
that was great for us. They
Yeah.
were really helpful. And so it's just another line of
It's kind of like
communicating
a
for
wish
them.
list for the future
is.
instead of
Well,
a,
and it's also stuff that needs to be done, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's that it gives them a chance to see it, but also I think that our experience has been that town departments are very cooperative and like willing to help out. And if they have
Right.
knowledge that we don't, or people that can help us when they see something like this, they're like, wait, I could probably do something. So we've really benefited from documenting all the stuff that needs to be done.
So that's a great lead-in. I'm gonna jump over the cement block wall because that's kind of ready, you know, it'll be scheduled as we get closer to the fall. But if you could talk about the trees,
Yep.
because that's a great lead-in
Sure.
for this collaborative thing that's happened.
Yeah,
So
so
excited.
Jared was in the process of getting a couple of quotes for the 2 trees to be taken down on our property. And Wednesday morning, I was over at Paul, right here, at Paul McCally's meeting. And one of the things I was mentioning were these quotes. And Dawn from DPW said, you know, I'm pretty sure one of our guys could help out with that. So within the hour that I was back at work, she had a crew member over, and he's like, yep, I can do that one, and we can do that one whenever you're ready. And so
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
one's
They've been
being
so
scheduled
supportive.
this
That's
week,
great.
so, yep.
Yeah.
Right, and I had communicated with the garden club to let them know the maple was gonna come down at some point. What did they recommend? She was saying October, but also they needed to move all of the plants from beneath the tree, which
Mhm.
are, that's a mix, but some of them are shade plants, some are shade sun. So they already, this past weekend, Saturday, they were at the library and they moved everything to other parts of our gardens. So we're ready to go,
Great.
you know, which is really exciting.
Well, thank you to DPW for having
Absolutely.
us out.
They're always incredible, very responsive. Handicap buttons is new. I guess those
I
are
did
stuck.
put that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had ordered the electronic cleaner, it didn't seem to do anything, so.
Mhm.
But when he took them apart, he said the insides were all rusted, so.
Yeah. And then directional signs, you had some updates on that, because we got a second quote. Crown.
Directional signs, oh, yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So that was Crown Trophy. I had just reached out to get a second quote for the directional signs in the building, and they said their maximum sizing they could engrave was 12 by 24, I believe. So the smaller signs, like on the office doors and for the bathrooms over the doorways, they could do for us. I have not. Oh, I did receive a quote, but I can't tell you what it was
Okay.
right now.
Yeah.
It was not much at all. I think the most expensive was $32, and that was a double-sided. So,
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot cheaper than going with the other company.
Right. So this, I mean, you know, when I was just at work yesterday and then today, so I'm just back. So I haven't compared the two to see which signs are gonna be
Yep.
with this company and which ones we're gonna have another company do, but, that'll be done. That has a PO tied to it, so we'll see what happens with that. And then the organizing the bins, stain ceiling tiles, these are some projects, we've got Jared working through, the plumber, we found a plumber. Jared's been fantastic finding vendors for us and communicating with the
Mhm.
vendors to get the work scheduled. get quotes, wait for confirmation from me or from Jen when I was gone. So we have the plumber, I created a PO
Yep.
request for it,
Okay.
so that work is gonna get finished. And someone leaned on the sink
Mm.
that's in the former men's room, so it's kind of dripping a little, coming off the wall a little bit, so we're gonna address it immediately. $610 to fix. So,
Great.
that's the building and a little more
Okay.
detail this
Well,
month about the
I-
building and maintenance list, but
Yeah,
that's it.
but I think since we have to look at CIP,
Yep.
it was good to sort of have an overview of what's
Yep.
going on. So if you had a chance to look at the CIP, because we do need to decide what we want to include on that, let's see, give you a chance to pull it up if you want to. So some of the things that I made notes of, we have the library HVAC is one of the things that's on there. I mean, I think that just stays, right, where you know that's in process, so that's gonna stay on the CIP.
I think it would be prudent to keep it, even
Mhm.
though we're addressing the chiller. You know,
Mhm.
we're addressing pieces of it, but we
But-
don't know what else we
Yep.
need to address.
Yep,
Okay.
so, I'm just gonna go through each item that's on there and see what you guys think of each one. The library sidewalk, we already talked about that, it's just a placeholder. The library slate roof,
You skipped the sprinklers.
what's that?
The sprinklers?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just going through what the order that I was seeing them on mine.
Oh, I
here.
guess mine, I must have a
I can
different
go
one.
back. Oh, yes, okay, library sprinklers, I just went through there. Okay, library sprinklers, we'll look at that. Eva, can you speak to the sprinklers? Is there, because there's something going on with them, right?
So we are now we're included in the contract that the town has with the sprinkler vendor,
Mhm.
to have them look at, like, the entire system is an add-on. I was kind of emailing with the vendor, before I left, so that's something that we can have them do, but it's an add-on because the contract is maintenance,
Mhm.
so I think it'll be fine.
So we want to keep the sprinklers as part of
think
the
so.
CIP because they could look at it and say, yeah. that's-
Okay.
Okay. Library sidewalk, we talked. Library slate roof was the one I mistakenly bounced to. So, library slate roof, I think this was a thing last year too. It says financing, library trustees funds $150,000. Didn't we ask to have that removed last year? We want the slate roof on there, but we don't want to say that the trustees are contributing $150,000 to
Okay.
it. So, yeah. And then it says using library trust funds, $200,000. That's,
Down at the bottom.
yeah. I don't know why that is, because I don't know that we ever thought that the trustees were going to pay for the replacing of the slate roof.
We did talk about that, actually.
Really,
We
Yeah.
did.
but
Because you were running numbers from every account we
Yeah.
had and just saying, yep.
Exactly, we did.
So,
If we couldn't fix just the north side, which we did, and we were gonna have to go with, this is when we were investigating, like, are we gonna go with slate, are we gonna go with slate-like, are we gonna use that rubber stuff, all of that. I think we got a quote that it was gonna be around like 200 grand, so, but, I don't know where we stand right now, since we did fix the north side. And I don't know if it was Garland or someone else that basically said, like, the rest of it didn't look
Yeah,
terrible,
that was
just the
Garland.
north side.
yeah.
So, I know at some point we're going to have to fix it.
did you want it to still say trustee funds? I felt like
No,
last
not
year we
anymore.
took that off there, yeah.
Not anymore. We don't need it to say that
Okay.
anymore.
Um,
But, another comment about the CIP, when all of this gets on it, sometimes using our own funds, we pay for it, we just get it done, and we just do it.
Right.
So then, it's possible that without going to the town and asking for our capital reserve funds, we just use our own funds and cross that
Cross
stuff
it off
off.
the
So
list.
then,
Mhm.
they also can see, like, oh, the library is using their own funds to do their own maintenance.
Right. I would assume though, since you just fix the slate roof, that it wouldn't be I mean, right now it's shown as like a 23, 24, so I would assume that whatever the fund would go out.
Well, the slate roof is a bigger project. Janet was referring to, the board at some point may choose to make a decision to do extensive repairs on this building, or not, and just maintain the building. So right now, we had a leak in the Lowell building, the original building, coming down on the teen books. There has been some leaking in the Lowell room, and so there were different areas identified, and the most worn part of the slate roof was the north side. And so we had someone come in and say, okay, if we, in all these scenarios, which was probably this time last year or 18 months ago,
Yeah.
it was, do we repair just the north side? Do we repair all four sides? If we repair all four sides, do you want to go slate to slate? Or do you want to go slate to something that is not slate, but is an interlocking system that's going to last this many years and look like slate? The board hasn't discussed how much of the historical integrity of the building do you want to maintain, knowing that it's already been, touched when the 1979 edition's been put on. This is not a historic building. It's not on any kind of registry. So then it's just aesthetically, what do you want to do about the slate roof? Slate, whatever. So really they identified, 15 tiles that were really damaged and needed to be repaired, and they also, repaired the seams between it. You had that report included
Yeah,
in your
it was really
packet, which
interesting.
had photos, which were really neat.
The photos help you understand a lot more about it.
So, I mean, in terms of the slate roof, there's more that could be done to it. Is this board gonna decide to do that or not? Because we are still looking at, are we gonna get a new building? Are we gonna really move in that direction? So it's kind of maintain what we have now, because we're stewards of this building, or, and at the same time,
Right, and where do you draw the line, and,
where do you draw the line, board? Yes, so it's, we want to kind of, prepare for worst case scenario with addressing different issues with any parts of the roof.
Well, right, and you're also, anytime that you have a problem like this, it's affecting the materials that are in there,
Yep,
it's
it
affecting
is.
people's ability to work there
Roofs are
safely,
very
to
important.
use the building, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that go into it that,
Yep.
we have a lot of obligations to take care of it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of like a little bit of a bigger picture about,
Mhm.
when we talk about the slate roof, it's like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And then the iceberg.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the good side, the library elevator can come off the CIP. Yes?
it will when the doors are done.
Okay.
You'll see it in September, everything will be gone.
So you want to keep it on now, even though,
Well, this is today.
but the money was the 184,000 and we used that and
We can move it down.
okay.
We'll move it down. We're gonna move lots of things down.
Okay.
In September, you're gonna see a whole new sheet, and it's gonna be exciting.
Okay. Well, I'm just talking about for the CIP.
Oh, for the CIP.
right.
I think it's done.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about. The CIP,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
no, the
Gotcha.
CIP, and,
Yeah.
because I think that there might be some questions. Wait a minute, didn't you just do an elevator?
No, okay.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
so the CIP we can just take the elevator right off. And then we have the placeholder for new library, which is on there.
Yeah, I think I would suggest adding the lighting shelving project. It's $20,000, so it's, just so they know this is something we're
Mhm.
exploring. And then the flat roof maintenance we should put on. I don't have a number yet from Garland. And then remove that out-of-service tank, which, again, I don't know what that's
Yeah.
gonna cost.
I think that's a really good one to put on there. Like, you definitely need to get that out of there, so.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that someone in DPW could be like, oh, we can do that.
Maybe.
I-
but
I don't know.
They don't know about, if they're walking through with joint loss.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either, but if we at least put it out there.
Yep,
you know,
sure. So
people will
does
know.
anybody have any thoughts on adding those three things to the CIP? Any concerns, questions for Yvette?
And a few other
Just
things.
to clarify, it was lighting, shelving, flat roof project, and tank removal,
Mhm.
those three. Yeah.
What about your mechanical
Yeah,
ventilator?
Ventilation, yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
just
mech-
gonna say.
Okay, yep. I don't know if we have a quote from that.
No, yeah.
Okay.
So Yvette, you will add those. I'm going to make a motion then, because I want to make sure that we document this, that we're asking you to do this. Molly, are you ready for me?
So ready.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we remove the elevator from the CIP and that we add the lighting shelving, the removal of the tank, the mechanical ventilation system, and the maintenance of the flat roof.
In the tank.
I think I said that, the removal of
Did
the
you?
tank.
You did say tank removal, but you didn't say lighting shelving,
Oh, yeah.
did you?
Yep.
Mechanical.
Lighting shelving,
Yes.
removal of the tank,
Yes.
mechanical ventilation.
Oh, which is the flat roof.
No, they're two different
No,
things.
okay.
The mechanical ventilation was something that was recommended by the retro commissioning agent. And
Oh,
then the,
yes.
Actually, it was the energy audit.
I'm sorry, by the energy audit person. So, and then and then the tank, I'm sorry, the roof maintenance. Yvette, did I get all four of those, the things?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we add those 4 items to the CIP.
Second.
Thank you, Robbie. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 500. Thank you. Thank you, Yvette and
Thank
Jennifer.
you.
That was really a comprehensive overlook at
Very
look at the
good.
building.
Yep.
While we're on building, would it be okay if we just took a look at the RFP for the chiller, so we're in that mode? I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it. Yvette sent it to us yesterday, I guess. So this is just us asking for somebody to come in. They can do a tour and then give us a proposal for the cost. The town has been really great about helping us, do this in the format that meets the town's requirements, so. Are there any questions or concerns about the RFP?
You have highlighted the take into consideration the energy report?
Yeah, Kelly was asking, do you want to put this in? And I said yes.
Okay.
So if people want to read the report,
Mhm.
to refer to it, to get some context, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yep, and lets them know that there was a report available,
Exactly,
so, yeah.
I think the retro commissioning report might also be added, because that did the, all the actuators and valves and stuff to show what worked and what didn't work.
Okay.
And then the only other thing that I was interested in was the feasibility of and I know I keep bringing this up, electrical versus natural gas. Right now, our system is electrical, but we have in the building natural gas.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm still writing down the first thing you said.
Essentially, it's just like that, except.
No, you said retro commissioning report.
Yeah, take into consideration the retro commissioning report.
Okay, and then you want to know,
The feasibility of the natural gas versus electrical. It's entirely possible that they're gonna say, you can't have natural gas, like, it doesn't come in natural gas, and then it's like, okay, well then we can't have it. Or they'll say, yeah, you can have the exact same thing, then natural gas works or electrical, whichever one is easier to hook up, and I just wanna know.
okay, but I need a verb. Feasibility of,
Need
I
a
mean, you
verb.
want someone to do, I'm not sure if those are different vendors, it's like if you know what I mean? If I'm hiring someone to come and, I'm buying a new boiler at my house that takes this, is the same vendor gonna be like, oh,
it
you
should
can
be.
switch? Okay.
I think it is. I mean, am I wrong? I don't know. I think
don't
it is.
know. I don't know.
Somebody would have to do the hookups, right?
Exactly. And the thing is, I
Yeah.
don't know how it comes in the building. I know where the natural gas comes in, and I know where the chiller sits. I don't know
That's a good
if it
point.
can be hooked up or not. I don't know. There's all those little pieces I don't know. But I do know natural gas is really cheap compared to electricity.
Right.
And I looked at the general ledger the other day, or today, and noticed how much our electricity for the building is, and it was even more than last year. So, and we know from our energy audit that the AC is the biggest component to that. So
I think it doesn't hurt to ask.
I just want to ask. I mean, like I said, they might say, nope, you can't do it. And it's like, okay.
Okay, we'll figure out how to add this.
Any other suggestions for additions to the RFP? Okay,
Okay,
great. Thank you.
sure.
All right, moving on to new business. So we have the fiscal year 2024-25 budget, which we look at the general ledger, the invoice manifest, and the open POs. Questions for Yvette?
Or Jen, because
Or
she
Jen.
probably.
Questions for
No, I mean, because
Jen.
you're probably
You
the
know
very
what, just
last
give
minute
Jen all
things
your
on this,
questions.
so-
Yvette just got back from vacation.
Exactly.
Only because she sent in, if there were any last minute updates, she would know about them, not me.
I do.
Oh, great,
Okay.
of course.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, Janet, what do you got?
And I'm going to just respect that this is just the changeover from fiscal years, that things don't match up.
Mhm.
Because there were POs that are not in the general ledger. Usually I check like the PO and I can go right to the general ledger, and whatever the account line is, the account line matches. And
No, but those POs, they haven't been brought over yet, and I didn't run June. I suppose we could, I don't know what June would look like, to be honest, running this report in last year's fiscal year, would it show up?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're saying what?
so,
You're looking at the POs that are open.
yes.
Okay.
And like under
Well, let's see.
maintenance.
Some of these are closed, because I checked this today, and, yeah, okay, because some of them are closed as of today, when I looked at it, there were two,
These are closed.
yeah,
All of the, so POs requested to be closed is this list. It's just
Okay.
this front page.
yeah,
Right, it just, they don't match to the
Okay.
general ledger. And then I was like, all right, and then I went to the, where is it? Let me find it. The recap of July's invoices, and I know from previous years, like, I thought it was like the first 2 weeks they work off the previous, like July 5th is gonna be spent off of last year's budget as opposed to this year's, this fiscal year. Actually, this year they went to the 19th. So 3 weeks into July, they were still spending off of 23-24 money on most of the accounts, on most of the lines, but they didn't do that for all of the lines. So I was confused. Because I went through the general ledger and I was like, okay, up to the 26th, these were on the 23-24, and then after 26, they went to the 24-25, and then as I continued down to match, then some of them didn't match up. So I'm going to chalk that up to it's the change of the fiscal year. So I'll just wait for next
We'll
month
look at the next month and
to make
see.
sure. But I wanted you to be aware, just because I always like to know where the money's being spent, and it's
Yeah.
being spent properly
Yeah.
and accurately.
Right.
Because, like, materials was the big one. There was a lot spent on July 5th,
Mhm.
which all the other lines went to last year's budget, but not materials. So it was like, all right, why did you choose materials to be for this year and not last?
Well, I'm
No,
gonna
go
jump
ahead.
in.
Yeah.
When we send an invoice over, we're marking which fiscal year we want it spent out. of.
Okay,
So we're directing that.
okay.
I'd
We
have
also,
to,
sorry,
no, go ahead.
encumbered, we created a purchase order for materials that we
Mhm.
worked off of too.
Yep.
Right, but these weren't attached to any POs.
Okay.
They just, I mean, I'm thinking, and we can go back and look in the files, but, you know, if an invoice comes in and we're determining that, you know, oh, this is this year's money versus last year's money, then we're gonna pay it against this year. So
Okay.
it kind of depends on the invoice. You know,
Okay.
the date of the invoice, like, we had one,
Mhm.
the health insurance one was last year, the last
final
fiscal year, right, the final payment for some of these things. So right at the end of the year, it does, we have to check the files to see, did we pay this one already in last year, or is this year's, invoice now?
Okay,
So, but we can go back in the files and check any one of these things.
okay.
I mean, looking at this, I can't tell what these are.
No.
You know, so, right.
So, yeah, and then the only other part is with Creative Bug,
Mhm.
there was a charge on the 5th of July under materials, and then another charge on the 19th for Creative Bug, which went against the PO. And then there was like a return of the PO again. Is that just because it got charged funny?
Oh, is this all it right here? Yeah.
Oh,
This is
wait,
them.
there were, yeah, I'd have to go back and, I remember looking at that.
That's weird,
Yeah.
but it was. So
It-
one purchase order.
Yeah, one went against a
But we
purchase order.
talked about this one, cause we were looking at it in the book, and it had something to do with Kathy and buying things. Off the top of my head, I don't know, cause
Okay.
it's all back at the office.
It's all good. Okay.
What would you like us to look for when we go back? What is it?
You know what, I don't even know.
Generally, what is it?
I guess if you could actually get a June general ledger,
Okay.
because that would help in terms of what went to what fiscal year.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, any other questions for Yvette and Jen? Okay, policy review. Yvette sent us Jen sent us an e-commerce privacy and refund policy, which it looks like it's a policy with no changes, just for us to review because it hadn't been approved since 2019.
So this is a policy that the GMLX board put in place. So for you, it's notifying you that this is the policy that GMLX is holding. And there have been no changes on the board level.
And so you just need us to basically approve it to acknowledge that it's
Yeah.
accepted by us as well.
Mhm.
Okay. Are there any questions for Yvette about this policy at all? Okay, I'll make a motion that, okay, go
Is
ahead.
there, so the terminal at CIRC is considered e-commerce.
Mhm.
Can they pay, for their, like overdue stuff or using that terminal?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Well, if you have any changes, I have to bring it to my board, so.
okay.
And not everyone is using Square. People are
Right.
using PayPal. There's a lot of other options, so I think when we wrote this back in,
19.
2019 or 2014, we wanted it to be broad. But it's, it hasn't been brought back to my board yet.
Okay. It just reads that they either had to be home or on a computer in the library, not at Circ.
It's in the library. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I can bring it to the board in September, I guess. But not everyone has
Right, I
the
understand.
terminal.
Yeah.
I think us and Derry. I don't think, if you remember talking to Alyssa, Derry has a terminal, we have a terminal.
Hooks it.
Hooksett has a terminal? Yeah, so there's 3 out of 12.
12.
That
Okay.
have the terminals. Everyone else, because what we used to do before we got the terminal was go over here on a library device
Right.
and, pay your credit card bill because we are not touching the credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
And we will never touch the credit card. So I think the Square is replacing, because they'll just turn it
Exactly.
around, and so
Okay.
yeah, I see what you're saying, but
I,
it's kind of a technicality.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just read it and it made me, I was like, so I can't pay at the library?
Oh, right.
Or
I,
have to
I
go-
just said e-commerce portal. I just figured that's me at the library using their e-commerce thing. I didn't know. I think you were
Yeah.
looking at a lot of detail where I think
Okay.
the average person reads it and says, e-commerce portal. That's just
Where's-
whatever your device is. That's
Yeah.
letting me.
Right,
Okay.
but I can double
But it
check.
doesn't say that.
Yeah, it says in order to
It
use
says
the
it in the
e-commerce
first line.
portal
Oh,
provided through our GMOX consortium.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, this is, I think the basic text of this, and I checked it against a couple of the libraries, but not all 12, to see if they've changed any of this language to really, here or there, be very specific to their location, like Hooksett or Derry. Have they changed it? And I didn't check against them. But, I think if I can go back to I'd rather go back to
I
the
guess I'm-
GMOX board and kind of say, do you mind if we add this little thing? And
What do you want to add? I'm confused.
the fact that we have a Square terminal and you can pay on the terminal instead of the library computer. Technically,
But-
there is a different thing there.
there is, and the other part of that is, it costs more.
Again, but that's like, I'm reading this and it's just like e-commerce, like whatever the way of doing e-commerce is. I don't know. I think,
Part of the computer.
yeah, I
So would
guess.
you just add like on a public computer or terminal?
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
Okay,
I
I hear what you're saying, because it's really.
when I read this, I didn't take it as it was the consortiums, but I do now.
I think that the
So-
real gist of the policy is that the library is, we're not touching anything. We don't recommend you use the
Right.
Wi-Fi. Your
Yeah.
convenience fee
Mhm.
is not going to be reimbursed. Like those are
Mhm.
the basics, right? I don't know that it's necessarily technically like you can use this device, not that device. It's like, we're just letting you know,
Mhm.
This is accounting for devices we haven't even considered yet.
Exactly, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good.
Janet, would you like to make a motion? We accept this policy.
Still gonna write down your question.
I guess not. Okay, I will.
Oh, I was-
I'll make a
no.
motion that we accept the e-commerce privacy and refund policy.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Great, 500. Thank you. And if the GMILKS board for some reason thinks that they
Yeah.
should change it, bring it on back and
Well,
we'll
you know
go from
what?
there.
I'm the president.
So there you go. There you go. Grants, that is something that Jen Jobin was looking at, and I think it's just there as a placeholder as well for right now. Director's report.
Actually, I'm gonna make a comment about grants.
Okay.
So we bought a subscription to it's called Grant Station. where you can search up thousands upon thousands of grants. Jen and I actually, a couple months ago, were looking at things, and there are grants out there, but they want a write-up for something. Like, you don't just say, hey, like, give me money.
Right.
They want a write-up. So it was hard to focus on a specific type of grant without knowing what it might be used for. So, so that's where we stand.
Okay, thank you. Director's report.
Okay, well, there are a few gifts that we'd like you to accept. At their April meeting, the Friends of the Library voted to donate $1,750 for the summer reading program. This consisted of youth services, programs and raffle prizes. $650 for the kickoff concert, $200 for raffle baskets, and there's $400 earmarked as a donation to the organization, which is Laura's World Fund, for the community reading goal. And our readers have already far surpassed the goal that the children's room set for them. It also included adult services funds, which were $300 for the raffle prizes, the raffle basket prizes, and $100 for smaller prizes, pens and pencils, which are the registration prizes for the adults, and then $100 for decorations, which you have seen around the library with the dragon and things like that. We'd like you to vote to accept this.
Sure, I'll make a motion that we accept the $1,750 from the Friends of the Library.
I'll second.
Okay, great. All those in favor? 500. Thank you to the Friends.
And can you speak to this one? Because that came in new.
Sure. Yep, we received a donation of the game Spike Ball. I don't know if anyone's aware of what that game is. Pretty popular. That was by Anya Lanier. You would like to vote to accept that?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we accept the spike ball game from Anya Lanier.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? 500. So thank you for the game. I'm sure someone will love playing that, taking that. Great.
I don't know if you have other questions about this report, or Jennifer, is there anything you noticed you wanted to bring forward?
I didn't have anything. Does anyone have anything for? Okay, Janet, go ahead.
Hang on, Chuck.
You know,
I saw that you're looking for alternatives to constant contact.
mhm.
Can you explain why?
I think with moving to, I think it really came up with moving to LibCal, which is gonna be our new calendar, and booking system for several different kinds of things, the meeting rooms, museum passes, passport appointments. That's a service that Alyssa had been researching, and it really works well with Aspen. So one of the things that I raised the question to the department heads was, is there something that's the newsletter, something that we could, use that maybe works with LibCal already and pull information from it to create a newsletter instead of us creating a newsletter and typing up stuff. So that was my question to them. So, I know Alyssa at today's department heads, she had come and said, well, I'm looking at this, other libraries use this or this, and she's investigating right now to see if there's just maybe a more efficient way to do it, rather than what we've been using, Constant Contact for, I want to say 10 years. I mean, we've been using it for a very long time. So that's the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Yvette? Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report.
I apologize if these went out so very late. vacation got in the way. So I'm looking at the balance sheet, and we started the month of July in fines with $4,376.47, and we ended with $3,577.31. And then for special, we started the month with $52,094.33 and ended the month with $51,869.86. I wanted to highlight a couple things. Square is now working in the library, yay. And all of the transactions go into our savings primary account. And there will be, there will be transactions that you'll see in that account. And I will come next month and tell you how much needs to be moved from there to fines, and then some will go to special, because it's taking all of the transactions, whether it's from replacement money, which goes into fines, or past money, which goes into special. But this particular account is just a repository to take all of the transactions, and then it'll get parsed to each of the various accounts. It's getting recorded correctly into QuickBooks, but with respect to the physical accounts, the checkbook accounts, it's not there yet. So, but I just wanted to highlight that. And then the other thing is, usually Yvette does this, but again, my report was late. We had $37.96 of anonymous donations. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the $37.96.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Great, 500. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay.
Can I just say that Alyssa Jobin, who is our head of circulation, has been handling the deposits while Joanne has been out. She's doing a wonderful job, and she's also because the Square terminal is at Circ, and the funds that come into this account, you know, she's also familiar with writing that report up. She's managing it. So if it's correct in QuickBooks, it's because Alyssa has picked up that piece, because she takes in the money, counts it all, and, you know, we have another spreadsheet that shows us how much came in for printing or copying or replacements or donations or whatever, and then it goes into another kind of report for the deposit. So she's touching it, so I asked her to take care of that for me, so I wasn't reinterpreting what she was already doing. So she's doing a wonderful job. Thank you, Alyssa.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to acceptance of minutes. We have the July 16th, 2024 public meeting minutes. Does anybody have any changes or corrections? Okay, seeing no one expressing anything, I will make a motion that we approve the July 16th, 2024 meeting minutes. So interesting conundrum. So Erin can't vote because she was not here. Ruth Marie was here, but she is not officially a voting member right now on the board. So what is the correct protocol?
We still have a quorum.
So we would still do 4-0-0. Okay. Sorry, Ruth Marie. I thought we'd give you.
401.
Yes, 4-0. So yes.
Maybe?
So all those in favor of accepting the July 16th meeting minutes?
We didn't technically get a
I second,
second.
by the way.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Okay, he's second, and thank you. For all those in favor, thank you. 4-0. All those opposed and abstaining.
I will
One.
abstain.
Okay.
Not because I didn't watch the meeting, but because I didn't read the minutes.
And you weren't here, so okay, well, only for a little bit. And then we also have the non-public meeting minutes. So I'll make a motion that we accept the non-public meeting minutes from July 16th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you, Robbie. All those in favor? Opposed? And abstaining.
I'll abstain.
So 4-0-1. Thank you. Thank you, Molly, for getting those out so quickly. It was just my mistake that I couldn't find where I put them. So, Great. So we're moving into the committee updates. Nothing from the Building Exploratory Committee. The Friends of the Merrimack Public Library did not meet this month. They are or July. Their next meeting is August 26th. And forgive me, I don't remember if we said that somebody would take Jen's place going to the Friends of the Library meetings. I'm not sure if anybody is doing that.
I had been thinking about it anyways.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I probably can't do this Monday, but I can do it starting in September.
Okay. Great. I also cannot do this Monday. Is there anybody who is able to go on the 26th and would be willing to do that?
I'll go.
Thank you, Erin. So yeah, they just meet in the director's office, and then you can just let us know what
Okay.
they're up to. Great. Thank you.
When and where is that meeting?
It's
That-
in Yvette's office
Okay.
at 7:00.
7:00, my office.
It's usually on a Monday. At the end of
Yeah.
the month,
It is.
Yeah. We can just take it month by month until things settle down. So it's great.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
going.
You're welcome.
The Development Fund Committee also did not meet. Their next meeting is September 10th, and I will be going to that. So, Town Center, I'm not sure what the status of that is, if they're meeting regularly or not. I haven't heard anything about it. So, I can look into that. I'll look into whether the Town Center is meeting.
I haven't seen a meeting from them in a while.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find out. Okay. The library committees, we have our personnel committee. Personnel, what do you have for us?
We have the finalized director goals about to go out. Ruth Marie and I connected on those. We also sent to the group last week a red line and then a clean version of the drafted library director job description. I don't know if folks had a chance to take a look at that, if there are questions, concerns, and hopefully, Ruth Marie and Yvette, I made the right changes to the red line, and if not, don't hesitate to say what needs to be adjusted. But we went from about 50 duties to about 30. So it's in the right direction, I think, in terms of just streamlining, removing some duplication and some clarifications added as well. So, but I think that will be a good next step in terms of then adjusting evaluation forms a little bit for next spring for the cycle again. So I think we wanted to be sure to adjust the job description and then kind of take subsequent steps from there.
Can I ask, can we, everybody take a look at that and then vote on it at the September meeting to accept the new job description?
It's a great idea.
That way Erin can have a chance to peruse it as well. So thank you for all your work on that. Great. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us?
Nope, that was it, I think.
I think just one additional thing.
Sure.
So I've added the piece that was sent in July
Mhm.
to the goals, and I'll send it out to everyone, but if we could do the same thing.
Okay.
Because just confirm everyone's had a chance to read the goals,
Okay.
that would be great too.
Okay, great. Well, so for our next meeting, we'll all look at the director job description and director goals, and we'll vote to accept. Perfect.
Thank you.
So make sure we have a non-public on the end of that so we can discuss that. Great, thank you. Okay, Finance Committee, Janet and I did meet, and we will be going over the salary schedule with you. We will do that in our non-public session, and we met with Yvette to talk about that as well. Building Committee, anything? I know you are like the lone member of the Building Committee as of right now, but
No, we're meeting,
Probably be in
Next.
September, right?
I think so. I saw it, so I was like, oh. Yeah, September 10th.
okay.
Erin, would you like to be a part?
I'd love to be a part of the building committee.
I would love that.
Okay.
That's kind of right up my alley.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. So before we move away from the library committee updates, one of the things we talked about was having a retreat / orientation in September. We've done them, I think like Saturday morning starting at an 8, like was one time, we did that a couple of times. I mean, I guess people people have lots of different things going on in their lives. September is kind of like a back to school, a good time to do this, but it's also a busy time. So if you would just look at your calendars, and I will send you an email and see if there's like weeks that work best. I don't know if people would rather meet in an evening or if you'd rather meet, it's like a 2-hour thing. You know, if we meet in a Saturday, we have coffee and Danish or, you know, whatever I pick up from a local bakery, and we just, you know, kind of do a little review or a little trustee orientation for our new trustee, and maybe talk about sort of what we want to get done in the next few months. So do people have thoughts about Saturdays? Would you prefer days of the week? What works for people? Not sure.
I think either.
Either? Okay. I personally love the Saturday, I'll just be honest, because we haven't gone to work, right? You just get up, you have your coffee, we
A
do
little more
it, we're
energy.
done. A little more energy, right? We kind of are ready to absorb some information and then move on. But I do know that weekends are precious, so there is that. So if you would just take a look at your schedules, and I will send you all an email and just ask for some feedback, come up with some possible dates, and we'll go from there.
I'd like to also point out with our retreat, it's an opportunity to, one, at least we should be setting a goal for us as a board. What do we want to do this year? And then, or 1 or 2 or 3 goals. And then, like Erin, you're new, so maybe there's things about the board that you don't want to just pick up in a meeting. You want information on, like, now.
Yeah, and one of the things that Janet will go over is the financials for us, which honestly, even after being on the board all these years and working in libraries, it's always good to understand once again the way that the money works, because it's just, that's one of the most important things we do, and it's nice to have that review. So it's good for everybody, not just the new people.
So for anybody, if there's even topics that you've heard about and you want to know more about, it's like, send it to Deb and we'll get the information. Or Yvette will get the information, depending on what it is.
Great. Okay. Upcoming events. The Merrimack Public Library Board of Trustees, we will have our next meeting on September 19th at 7 p.m. here. The Merrimack Public Library Development Fund Committee will meet September 10th at 5 p.m. in the library's Lowell Room. And the Friends of the Library will meet August 26th at 7 p.m. in the director's office. Now I'm going to make a motion that we go into the non-public session per RSA 91A32A personnel. So
I'll second.
Thank you. And then we do need to do a roll call vote to go into non-public. So I will just go around. Robbie?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Erin?
Yes.
I say yes. And
Yes.
Janet? Yes. Okay. And we are in non-public at 8:10.